use a smaller time frame to, I will usually use a smaller time frame to time my exits. So this trade has been kind of going nowhere just because, as you guys know, even on a day trade level, options lose their value as time passes. So if you don't get the move you're looking for very quickly and immediately, then it's gonna start going against you just from a time frame standpoint. So this one right now, I'm headed towards probably getting stopped out for a small loss. Eric says, what options are you in with on AMD right now? I bought the weekly 86.5. So I trade weeklies only for day trading. And then for all of my swing trading, I'm usually 45 to 60 days out at least, depending on the setup. Richard says, I just got out of that one for a small win. Yeah, I thought about it, Richard. When we got this nice little papa here and I was up 10 cents a contract, I was like, is this, maybe? But the cues were raging and it looked like we had some more strength to give. So I may have botched that one. But the thing is, my plan's pretty black and white. Usually I will wait for a large run up and then get out on a smaller time frame. Otherwise, I just hold for a small loss, which may be what I'm headed for here. So Eric says, is there a math-based formula to your day trading options, or is that purely a technical chart-based strategy? So Eric, when any of us really talk about math-based option trading, what we're usually talking about is leveraging the advantages that come inside of the Greeks and the option pricing models and the theoretical math that goes into the option chain and how options work. And the number one factor in all of that is that options lose value over time and tend to be overpriced, historically speaking. So in order to capitalize on that in a math-based way, excuse me, you need time to do it. So no, I don't think there's really a good math-based setup for day trading. My day trading is strictly technical. But I have back tested and back traded my day trading strategy extensively. I have spent many an hour on developing how I trade options, because day trading weekly options is probably one of the hardest things you can do in the stock market. And I don't say that lightly. The reason I chose to do this is because I do kind of do everything from one account because I'm trading as a business. So I do most of my trading out of my business account. I'll get other business accounts going as time goes on. But for now, I'm trading out of a business account. And so I use weekly option. I knew I wanted to use weekly options so I could have other positions rolling and not be limited in what I could trade from a buy power standpoint. So once I made the decision to trade weekly options, I knew I needed very fast and very conclusive directional strategies. And Momo happens to fit that model. So I'm off to a good start. I had a nice R win yesterday, and so far this one's just kind of hanging out, as Jeremy likes to say. So let's see where we're at. I'm actually, I tend to watch the futures as for my market sentiment. So my charts might be a little bit bonkers for some of you guys if you're newer, but I just like to see the information in different time frames. This is something that I just have done from when I got started early. So I have, let's see here. Yeah, I have a daily chart here. This is a 276-minute chart, which is something I talk about in my mentor groups. It's 1/5 of the day for futures, if you like futures. I don't trade futures that much, but I do watch them for market sentiment because they are 23 hours a day during the week. So Monday through Friday, anytime I kind of want to know where the market's at and where it might be headed, whether the stock exchange is open or not, I will probably be looking at futures. And we are just killing it right now. I mean, the Qs are up over 100 points. So Qs are up. E-minis are up 50 points. By the way, something I did yesterday in all of my accounts was grab me some SPY at the 50 because, you know, seems to have worked a time or two before. Is it going to work this time? I don't know. But the odds are in my favor.
I think it's working.
I think Falco was talking about.
I think
it is. Yeah, it's working a little bit right now. Yeah,
that's weird. What's it bouncing off of? Can you like? Is there a reason? Like,
yeah, it's this weird red line on my screen right here. The
strange.
50 EMA. Yeah.
Would you been able to know that in advance? Like, could you have planned that before it happened, or what?
You know, it's funny. You could absolutely have a plan where you pick up a little bit of SPY off of the 10. Maybe a little bit more off the 20, maybe a little bit more off the 50, maybe do a lot at the 100, and then get into some protection at the 200. So position trading is one of the things we talk about a lot here in real life trading. We like to buy low and sell high. And one of the fanciest ways that you can buy low on anything that is in a strong uptrend is to scale in. So you do a little bit, then you do a little bit more, then you do a little bit more, then you do even more, loading the boats down there. And then you can protect yourself with options. Cool stuff. And that is, that's just part of the plan. So that is something you can know ahead of time. You can even have limit orders out there at levels where it just happens automatically. And you can be sipping on your morning coffee and grab some bargains. All right, let's see here. Eric says, James, in the indicators and strategies button, just type Momo. Okay, yeah, so we were asking about the Momo. So when I'm trading Momo, we use a 78-minute chart, which is in the video that Jeremy has linked a couple of different times. Matt DeLong teaches you exactly how to use this strategy. And then if you're using TradingView, there's a little indicators button up here. Or actually, I think it's the FX, right? Yeah, it's this one here. And you click on that, and you can go to public library, type in trend following. I think that's what it was. Is there a space? There it is. Matt DeLong, trend following Momo. That's the one that all of us have on our charts. And it will signal you when to get in or out. Now, there's a little more to it than that, obviously, so watch that video, but it is a free video. So if you're looking for a strategy on how to be a consistently profitable trader, potentially, by following some rules, and you want an indicator right on your chart that will tell you what to do and how to follow some rules for free, check out that video. Yes. All right, let's see. Buy low, sell high. Yep, that's what it's about. You guys should build your own hedge fund. I think that's been discussed, but that's at the Jeremy Newsom and Matt DeLong level. So that would be something to put onto their to-do list. I just want to be cool like them one day. Then I can build a hedge fund and hedge it with options. Doug says, Momo is a great tool. It has paid for itself 1 million times its cost for me because it's free. Yeah, I mean, 1 penny is better than 0. I do trade Momo. I use options to do it on a swing trade time frame. All right, so for example, on net right here, we got a signal this morning at about 8:45 my time, which would have been about a half an hour ago. So I got into some September 110 calls on net. Now I blend my options so that I always have positive theta. So I sold a few put spreads against that to make sure I have positive theta. And that way, if net just kind of hangs out a little bit, I'm not necessarily getting too badly chopped up on time. But if we do get a pop, then I've got a few calls that can collect the uncapped gains. There's all kinds of different ways to do it. If you're just getting started, I recommend just using shares. Options are always harder. There's a lot more variables, but you can learn. You can learn quickly. Jeremy's mentioned our mentor groups a couple of different times this morning. So I teach options. Everybody who takes my mentor group is usually interested in options and wants to trade options the way I trade them, which is, as I've mentioned, in a math-based way. But we have lots of options experts here. Tony is an expert in options. Most of our moderators, honestly, could really trade options in a pretty solid way. So you wouldn't go wrong. We've got some incredible traders here at RLT. So Jeremy said, "Hey John, how you doing? Have you recovered from the hedging with options course? I think we emailed a couple of times. If you have questions." Not quite. Yeah, that was a doozy. That was fun though. That was fun. Bruce asks, do you consider IV rank? I do, Bruce. Yep. So I use Tastyworks. So I'll just kind of show you what that looks like a little bit. IV rank on Tastyworks is right there on the front page. If you're using TOS and you're relying on IV percentile, I think that's fine. Just stick a metric and stay consistent with it, and usually that will work for you. So AMD is getting a nice little pop here. So what I do, once I've kind of gotten a move where I'm reasonably profitable, I'll flip over to a lower time frame. So now I'm literally on a 30-second chart, you guys. I never thought I would use a 30-second chart, but the only thing I use this for is just to basically get me out quickly. So at this point, any close below the green line on a 30-second chart, I'm just going to exit for a nice little win. This allows me to keep the trade running if it's going to run big, but get out quickly. Because with options, this is something that Jeremy and I discussed in our when he was kind of helping me build this strategy. With options, you never really want to get trailed out. You always want to try and hit targets. So there's two ways to do that. All right. You can either trim on big moves like this, which is what I've done. I just sold a substantial portion of my trade for a nice little 1R win. Or you can have extremely tight stops when it comes to options. But, oh man, I might have sold a little too early, guys. The market's just strong today. We can't have two big bear days in a row. That is the 2021 rule, I guess. Did you sell the put spreads for the September expiration, asks James. Were you talking about my net trade? Yes, I am in September right now. So when I open new credit spreads, I usually do it in the monthly cycle that is nearest 45 to 60 days. Because 60 days is right around the time that the theta curve starts to really work in your favor. Yep. All right, so now with AMD at this point, I'll just wait until it kind of runs up a bit and then maybe reverses, and I might take it bearish. So usually with our swing trading, you know, Matt will talk about not wanting to go down the up escalator And I tend to agree with him where I tend to trade bullish on a swing trade time frame a lot more than I trade bearish, you know, depending on certain conditions. I did a lot of bearish trading in March and April of this year. But on a day trade time frame, I'll go any direction the momentum's going. So if AMD has a nice run up into highs of the day up here and then starts to roll over, you know, you could get in on a little bearish entry up here somewhere and maybe ride it back down on a retest. So there's on day trades, it's just about getting fast, quick hits. All right, let's see. Art's going long again on GFI. Let's see here, see what he's looking at. Got some thin volume on this one. Careful in there, Art. Inside and up on a 10-minute. Inside on the 30-minute. Still red on the 60 with long lower wick. Going to be a choppy trade, but takes day back green at 9:37. Yeah, I mean, if you end up losing, so a lot of times if I end up losing early and I'm red to start a day, if I can get back to green on a trade, usually my stop on that trade goes to where I'm green on the day at that point. So that way, once I've gone from red to green on a day, I'll lock that in. And either I'll just have a small winning day or I'll let the trade run and have a nice winning day. It depends. Okay. RT3, are you still in AMD? No, I sold too early, my friend. I got the move I wanted. Remember, I got in all the way back down here. And I was talking about on options, and let me pick a different color because that is tough to see. Yeah, so I got out up here. When you're dealing with options, once you get a reasonable move, I usually just take an R and call it. And that's because I have a lot of other things going on. If I weren't hosting right now and I weren't watching some other things, I might tinker with it to the point where I would just trim a bit, you know, and leave a little bit on and keep watching the charts on smaller time frames. But I haven't back traded that enough to, you know, decide if that's really worth the effort. So that's kind of the next step, though. I have begun to test doing that a little bit more. So you guys, when we talk about trading regularly, it's like any business. Okay, you're going to have systems, you're going to have strategies, you're going to have processes, you're going to have plans. And that makes day trading actually very simple, because all you're going to do is roll out of bed, wake up in the morning, get your coffee, get your workout in, do some breathing, do some praying, do some reading, sit down, and then you're just going to follow your plan. You're going to execute the system. And if the system doesn't make money, then change the system. And you hone that and refine that through hours and hours and hours and hours of back trading and back testing. So if you're doing that with stocks, it's very easy because TradingView has a back trading feature where you can just literally go back in time. Okay, so Momo triggers me in there. What should I do? And honestly, because of the time that had passed on this one, once this candle came in right here, I probably could have exited for just about what I did anyway. But, you know, held a little bit, and now here we are. But that's all day trading is, guys. That's all professional day trading is following your plan. So if it looks like hoodoo voodoo, then, you know, get some coaching, take some mentoring, create a plan, and then just wake up and follow it every day. And for me personally, I try to create plans that are very black and white. So there's not a lot of room for subjectivity. Oh, Art says that's GIF. Okay, you're right. Thank you for the correction. That makes a big difference. Okay. Yeah, I see it. So you got a nice little hammer there. You could probably get a move. This is a 3-minute chart. You could probably get a move up into the VWAP. And what was your original target? Let me see. 36 by 929. I see. Okay. La, 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 la. Jeremy says I missed CAH. Cardinal Health. That is a pretty monstrous pop. This was a gap and go, so this is something you might have been able to trade on an aggressive time frame this morning. If you had a 2-minute chart, you had just an absolute gift right on the opening candle.
One
bear hammer.
1 penny.
No.
Yeah.
You had that set up?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't here right.
Was my entry.
What's the high of this candle? 58.24.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't do the exact high. I guess because I'm dumb.
So, but if you were, so you were a little bit lower. You wanted it to retest just a little bit lower. Got it. Yeah, that would have been a great trade.
But good job on AMD, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I just worked the plan like I was talking about. So that one worked out pretty well. So yeah, it's been a good week. And then we're only 2 days in. Yates says, so I have to be awake to day trade. That could be my problem. Yeah. I mean, that's why, it's all what's your preference, right? So we have day traders and swing traders in the community, and we're starting to get a nice little crew of automated swing traders. So if you guys are interested in having a robot trade for you using the Momo strategy that we've been talking about here, we do have a whole course on how to do that right here. Algo trading. And usually what people think there is, oh, I got to be a coder. I got to know how to tell computers what to do. And that's not actually true anymore, because one of a team of guys in our community have built this this whole system over at Traders Post, where you can subscribe to Matt DeLong's Momo strategy and the robot will trade for you. I did zero coding to set this up. Now, this is a paper trade account because I'm just kind of test driving it right now. But I got into these positions yesterday because I've had this set up since last week. I went to the real life trading retreat in Tahoe, which was just an amazing time in Tahoe there, and saw one of the algo guys, Jonathan Wage, do his presentation. And so, yeah, did a little test drive here. And right now the robot is trading for me. And I didn't have to do anything other than sign up for Traders Post. Doug says, oh yeah, he is chiming in with Yates. Got it. Hedging with options class is definitely worth the money. 8 classes plus 1 of pure gold. Thanks, Randall. Yep, Jeremy and I put a lot of heart and soul into that, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. James asks, is this a spot where you would look to buy puts on the SPY for a day trade? So I'm a little behind, James. I'm not sure, to be honest. Let's see. How far can she run today? That is the question. We're back above the 20. and we are continuing to crush higher. I mean, it's not a bad spot. You know, you've got this pre-market resistance back here from a couple days ago. That's after hours. Wicks like that after hours, sometimes you got to be a little careful with, because TradingView sometimes doesn't know what to do with those. At least that's what I've noticed. But we could look at an RSI and kind of see where we're at for the day. 15-minute chart's pretty extended. Three-minute chart, very extended. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. If you wanted to short here, I think what I would probably do if I were going to short SPY, which I'm not because I'm trying to day trade AMD right now. So I'd probably set up an entry here. Maybe your stop's up here where the gap was. So let's see. Yeah, it's about $1 of risk. And then your target, your 2-hour target would be the daily VWAP. So yeah, that could work. For a little midday reversal. Art says, if it puts out on me and pukes, I'll just reverse position and target low of day. Got to be able to play both sides. Yeah, you know, I think that's especially true in day trading, Art. So I tend to have a bullish bias in my swing trading, and I will usually trade bearish on swings once I have bearish daily trends on the futures charts, which again is something I talk about in my hedging with options course and in my mentor groups. Speaking of math-based numbers, did you guys know that there is a single number that will tell you proportionally what your directional risk is across your entire portfolio? It is called basically it's the concept of beta weighting. So you can set up your portfolio to correlate to SPY or the Qs, and you can kind of determine, okay, well, if the broader market goes down, what's my overall risk? You might have 12 positions on, some bearish, some bullish, but you can get a snapshot of what your overall directional risk is, which is what, you know, basically it's what hedge funds do, right? Like when you have millions and millions of dollars in the market, which I do not yet, you need to know, all right, if the market goes up or down drastically, what's my exposure there? And that's just another method that we talk about around here when it comes to risk mitigation, which is the key to day trading any time frame, whether you're day trading, whether you're swing trading, position trading, long-term trading. Knowing how to manage your risk is priority numero uno. Jeremy says stocks and companies can grow 400% or more in months or years. Futures and VEX can't do that. That is true. Yep. I don't actively trade futures. I just tend to look at them for guidance on what the market is doing at the moment. Blazing is looking at coin. Ooh, yeah. That one is taking off. Tahoe was epic, Doug. That was an awesome week. Jose took the algo course and you don't need to learn coding at all. That's awesome, man. Hunter wanted to know if any of us can sign up for that to test it out. I think if you go to Traders Post directly, they do have a trial. I think. Can someone confirm that? Because I was in the presentation at Tahoe, so I don't know if that was just part of the deal there. Okay, yep. Cool. All right. So Jeremy says do beatthebot.io and sign up there. So let's just do that. Beat the bot. Here you go. Create a free account. Very cool. Very cool indeed. So let's see if AMD has reversed yet at all. Nope, we're still crushing higher. I sold too early. But hey, I stuck to my plan. My plan was to get a nice move up and take profits because I'm trading options. And you know, I might have gotten a little fancy in here if I were by myself, but I will take the win. Craig asks, do you trade leaps on AMD? I do. Yep. I'm in leaps on AMD, Craig. So here you can see my exact pyramid setup on AMD that I have been in for a while. So I started scaling into this back in the early part of this year. And I bought leaps that expire next year. So because I'm the math-based options guy, I know that all the advantages are to the seller in the short term. So if I do buy options, I go very, very, very far out in the future. But I still create positive theta. So as you guys know, options lose value over time, but if you sell them, you can gain value over time. And with a little bit of practice and a little bit of learning, you can do both. So I bought options on the way down, and I've been selling calls against those leaps the whole time. And let's just see where those are at. I'm curious. So right now, my calls, the sold calls I have discounted the cost of my leaps by about 30% so far. So I paid roughly $1,300 per leap. And no, that's not right. About $1,000. And I'm in all 4 levels. So this kind of position trading, guys, this is something that we talk about in our swing trade rooms, in our mentor groups, and scaling in. And then what I do in my mentor groups is I do it with options. So you can do this with shares, you can do it with options, you can do it with a combination, but the principles are the same. You're buying a little bit here, a little bit more there, a little bit more there, even more there. And then I did some protection down there, got into some bear put spreads. All of this is what, you know, stuff we talked about in the hedging with options course. And it was looking real nice up there, but we've obviously reversed a little bit. Now my target here is new all-time highs. So anytime that I get into a trade of this size and magnitude, I'm always targeting new all-time highs, and I will hedge along the way if I have to. So I am in short-term bearish hedges on AMD right now. So I am mitigating the, I'm not giving back that much of my gains here. As I mentioned, the sold calls have already discounted my leaps by 30%. And by the end of the life, my target for this trade is like around Thanksgiving of this year. You know, by that point, my leaps will be fully paid for. Any profit I'll have is gravy, and I'll probably just sell everything at that point, regardless of where it's at. What option strategy have you used if you are neutral to slightly bearish on the SPY? So let's see. A slightly bearish to neutral strategy, Bruce, would be an iron condor. is neutral. If you have more buy power, you could do a strangle, but I think a SPY strangle without, it depends on the account. SPY strangle without margin is going to be like 40 grand in buy power. So you probably don't want to do that. What would it be with margin? I'm curious. So Bruce, if it were me personally, I'd probably do a strangle just because I like the flexibility of it. But you could do an iron condor, which is a bull put spread and a bear call spread against each other. So you could sell a put spread down here below the 100. And then if you're slightly bearish, you're probably going to get a little more aggressive on the bearish side. So maybe you do something right above new all-time highs. So that's going to be a more bearish bias. If you want to be more neutral, then you would get a little further away and try to make them about equidistant. But you would sell a call and buy a further away call for a credit spread on the bear side. And then you would sell a put and then buy a further away put for a bullish trade down here. And then hope that during that time, SPY just kind of does one of these and you get the premium from both sides. That's usually one of the more straightforward neutral strategies. Blazing says, so calendar leap spreads. How long of a strike do you buy on the call compared to the current price of the stock? So Blazing, if you're asking about my AMD pyramid again, basically as the levels trigger, I just buy leaps right at the money. So I might have leaps at a couple of different strikes, and then I sell calls usually at the 30 delta above my first leap. So I've been selling calls up here the whole time. And those have done quite well. And as of right now, I'm profitable on both the leaps and the calls on this trade, just so you guys know. Typically, when you pyramid in correctly, your cost basis tends to be somewhere between the third and fourth level once you get it all done. So my calls are up small, and the sold calls have more than paid for almost 30% of my total cost basis. Deep in the money, at the money, YOLO type out of the money. No, I don't do YOLO out of the money stuff. That's like anti-math based options. That's lottery ticket stuff. So I want positive theta, and it's really hard to get that the further out of the money you go when you're buying options. So usually I'll buy right at the money and then sell calls right around the 30 delta, and then I'll manage that. But if you're new to all of that and that just is like totally mind-boggling to you and your universe is just melting right now, just stick to shares. Buy a share, buy 2 shares, 3 shares, 4 shares. You know, this is all this is, guys, is just buying low and selling high in a fancy way. And there's several YouTube videos on how we do this. I know Yates has done a YouTube video specifically on how to do this strategy that is out there. And I've seen it taught in some classes here and there. So it's good stuff. All right, let me get caught up on the chat a little bit. Does margin come into play when you sell against the long call? No, because CC, at that point, it becomes a defined risk spread. So any debit spread, you don't really need margin. And, you know, options are already leveraged, so you're not going to get margin on long options. You will get margin on short options because the buy power requirements are massive. So if you sell a put on SPY right now, that's going to be like 40 grand in an IRA if you're trying to do a cash secured put. But I could do a 30 delta cash secured, or I could do a 30 delta put on SPY right now for about 7 grand with margin. So there is margin on sold short options because the maximum loss on those trades is hard to exactly quantify. But if you are wrong and those trades start going against you, your buy power will increase to accommodate the move. And that's why you got to be careful with naked options, guys, especially if you're selling them. If you're selling puts, if you're selling calls, you know, make sure you have a plan and you are okay owning the shares. You've got a large account that can handle it. Because it can be fun to sell a bunch of puts and think, oh, they're all going to expire worthless. But then the margin requirement on those can grow on you real quick. And then something like this happens. And then you don't have the capital to stay in the trade, and you're taking a massive loss. So that's what we don't want to see. So only sell puts if you're willing to own the shares and you have the capital to own the shares. Matt wants to know if they're DS21 calls. No, I'm way into like March of 2022, my friend. On my pyramids, I think is what you're asking about, right? Oh, man, look at AMD. I'd probably be at like 2 hours right now if I'd held a little bit longer. But we're never going to call the top. So just got to be happy with the gains we do get, which I am. That little trade helps me take a slightly red day on some of my swings and turn it into an overall green day. So that's a good day. Blazing says you sell the calls short term, like 1 month out. Yeah. Yep. So I have the leaps for next year, and they're just chilling, just sitting there, waiting for AMD to make its moves. And then I manage the calls more short term, month to month. Do you buy shares with leverage? What percentage? Yeah, you can absolutely. Do I personally buy shares? No, I do not. I don't. I mean, sometimes, like if the options volume is a little rough, because there are other day trading strategies I will do occasionally. I don't have an example right now, but when you're trading options, I really focus on option liquidity. So I'm looking for a lot of volume and open interest on the option chain to show me that people are trading them and are interested in them, because it's very easy to just get chopped up and murdered on a bad spread trading options. So when I'm trading, when the volume's rough on options and I want to day trade something, I will use shares in that situation. And sometimes if I don't like it, sometimes if options are a little overpriced, if the volatility is really, really high and I'm going to do like a swing trade or something, I'll use shares and options. So I'll buy a call or two to try to catch a really strong move. But if I think if I think it might take a little time, or I don't like the setup as much, like this setup on net is just amazing. Huge hammer with the signal. And so far we're looking pretty nice on that trade right now. But there's other times, there's other swing trades that I've done where it's a little bit, I don't know. Let me see if I can find an example. I mean, this is kind of a good example right here. I probably did shares here. I honestly don't remember. I'd have to look at my trading journal. But when you have a situation like this, where you have this massive, massive Marubozu, well, it's not quite a Marubozu candle, but it's just a lightsaber candle rising up. And then you get the signal to go in if you're trading this strategy. But normally, guys, you can see that logic will tell you there's likely to be a little bit of profit taking there. We have this consolidation, huge pop. Anybody who bought down here is going to be selling up here. So you might want to wait for it to come back to you a little bit. When this kind of thing happens, if you buy a bunch of call options there, those things are going to get wrecked hard on any kind of pullback. So in this situation, I'll sometimes blend shares with options. That way, if we do get a quick run, I've got a nice leveraged call to capitalize on it. But I can hang out with the trade a little bit longer in shares. So I'll sometimes do a mix of both. What ended up happening here anyway? That was it. That was the only pullback you got. Net is just a beast. That's why it's on my list. I mean, it came down to that spot 3 times. So you could have got it there. You could have got it there. You could have got it there. And then we finally got the pop. So this is an example of where you probably would have been happy you were in shares, because I guarantee you, even over here where it looks like you're up a little bit, you're probably down, or at least, you know, maybe up small on calls that you bought back here, because the time is against you. You need the move, and you need to move quickly. You have to be, when you're buying options, you guys, you have to be really, really right, and you have to be really, really fast. That's why if I'm buying calls, I'm going way out in time if I can. And I'm usually blending, and if it's shorter term, like on a swing trade level like this, I'm blending it with shares, or I'm blending it with put spreads in order to create positive theta. So time is on my side. That's why I trade options, because then I can just get paid for the sun to come up, you know, get my little daily dose of theta. Do you buy shares with, okay, yeah, we talked about that sometimes, but rarely. Woodshed's looking at NVAX on a 5-minute chart. Where are we at here? We're almost to the 50 on a 15. I'd probably wait for that. That's going to be, why don't I have indicators here? That's going to be 214. Pre-market low was around 211. I think it could go a little bit lower if you're looking to go bullish. Jill says, I only sell puts on stocks that I want to own at a price I want to pay instead of a limit order. Yeah, I mean, if you've got the capital for it, guys, selling puts is a great way to just throw limit orders out there for buying stocks at a discount. Just make sure you have the account size, right? If you like Netflix and you want to buy it at the 200, or maybe you want to wait till it gets down here into this range down here, you know, you could sell a put down here at 485. What's the volatility on Netflix right now? Yeah, it's not bad. Now, it's had an up day. The time to sell a put was probably over there, but it's not at a terrible level. Need to move this. Where are we at for the 200 on an hourly? Yeah, the time to do that was probably yesterday or maybe early this morning. I think Netflix could still come down a little bit lower. Anyway, I was just using this as an example, honestly. You know, you could sell a put on Netflix. I'd probably sell something around 490 or 500, and that's $7,500. But if I get put the shares, that's going to require $53,000 of capital per contract. So you better make sure that that's what you're setting aside if that trade goes against you. Don't blow up your account selling puts. I've seen it happen. How can I find the YouTube video of your option strategy? Well, Cecil, my stuff's pretty advanced. I haven't done any YouTube videos yet. Those are coming. Those are coming. So just be patient. I'm going to do some IV rank and IV percentile stuff. And I'm going to do some stuff with Tastyworks, showing you how to use the order chain, showing you some, I'm probably going to do a video on the option Greeks. So yeah, as far as the specific strategies though, those are inside the hedging with options course. Actually, you know what? There is a really good video out there that gives you a look at what I do and how I do it. I just remembered. So if you go to the Real Life Trading channel and you search, I just search DJ Dan because it's easy to remember. Dan and I, Dan's one of our day trade moderators here at Real Life Trading. I'm sure he'll be on at some point this week. So we did a back trading marathon in May. And it's just 8 hours of him and I crushing it. And in that marathon, if you start 4 hours in, I take over and I do swing trading with credit spreads and debit spreads. And I write out rules for how I trade my options. And I show you the setups I use, and we just go through it for 4 hours. So if you're looking for a little taste of what I do, this is the best place to get it for free right now. 4 hours of option trading live. So there you go. That would be my recommendation. And I think what we'll do is I'll just throw that right into the chat pane so it's easy for you to find. All righty, let's see. Unless it's Teladoc, nothing's helping that stock. I haven't looked at Teladoc yet today, I'll be honest. Let's see what we're doing. Yeah, I mean, we got a retest gap up. Came down almost to lows of the day, didn't quite break it, and now we're just kind of hanging out at VWAP. That's on a 5-minute. Not that much different on the 3-minute. The trend might be flipping on this one a little bit, though. This is a 30-minute chart. It looks like it's starting to curl a little bit. We shall see. Terry's right, though. We got some work to do on this bad boy. We're still a solid $14 away from the 100 simple. Oh, Jeremy wants to know when the videos are coming. Yeah, well, I wanted to get Tahoe done. Now I don't have anything right in front of me, so those are going to be in the next week or two. I'll be recording the Ivy Rank Ivy Percentile video on Thursday is when I have that scheduled for this week. And so that'll get to the team. And then we're going to do the order chain video and then the Greeks video. There's one other one on my list. It's not coming to me right now. I have to pull up my project list and find out, but we're going to do it. Jeremy says, the best course ever, hedging with options. Yes, yes. So the new one isn't quite ready yet, the one that Jeremy and I did together. I think that's still in the process of getting completely built out to the point where we have the link for that to go on all the dashboards, but we're getting close. Jill says, I've been rolling out 450 strike for about 8 months. I'm a little behind, Jill. I apologize. So I don't remember what we were talking about there. Was that a Netflix maybe? I'm not sure. What delta do you use with credit spreads, says Bruce. So I usually start, and I talk about this in that video I sent with the back trading marathon. I usually start with putting my short strike at around the 30 delta, but I will adjust for premium. So I have rules around what I want to get from my credit spreads for risk reward. As you guys know, when you're selling options, you're usually taking on more risk than you can gain in profit. Okay, so that is the downside. Your profit is capped and you're risking more than you can win. But in exchange for taking on all of that extra risk, you get to put on very, very, very high probability trades that win very frequently. So when you can combine math-based metrics with a little bit of charting, some technical analysis, some fundamental analysis. By the way, if you want a system for how to do that, I actually give an entire math-based options trading plan in that Hedging with Options course. So if you go to our website, this is not the new one. So it'll have the new banner on it once we get it done. But my guess is if you buy this one now, you'll get grandfathered in. That would be my guess. So there you go. Don't quote me on that. Don't email support and say, oh, Robert said. So either wait for the new one or send an email and we'll figure that out. Jill says Zoom puts. Okay, let's see. Jill's trading some Zoom. So you're in 450 puts. So those are hurting a little bit, but you've been rolling for a while. So if you're selling puts at 450, on Zoom, are you talking about selling calls maybe? Because that would have been beautiful. But if you're selling puts, you're getting smoked right now. Started when it was at 550. All right, so you're just kicking the can down the road, hoping to recover on that trade. Got it. Okay. Pam says, I have the Hedging with Options new icon on my dashboard already. Okay, well, there you go. I don't know if the course is built out yet, though, is it? Or is it still just the videos? We haven't put in like the quizzes and the certificates and everything yet. But I think just the raw recordings are there. But the edited streamlined stuff isn't quite there yet. But yeah, the content's there for sure. So you could definitely do that. Art says, I have your trend following Momo indicator on and I'm noticing that it works really well on a 10-minute chart. What? Momo works on other time frames? That's crazy talk. That's awesome, Art. So here's what I would say. When you find a new strategy or a new tool, it's very tempting to just run out and dive right in. And I recommend you do that in a simulation. So put the Momo on a 10-minute chart, put it on a 5-minute chart, put it on a 30-minute chart, put it on a 15-minute chart. Do a bunch of back trading with it where you go back in time and you test it. Okay. This is where I would get in. This is where I would get out. You know, we can do a little back trading on net, just as an example. So you could go back here and you could say, okay, well, I got triggered in right there. Now let's see what happens. All right, I'm down on that trade. Probably up nicely there. Okay. We're kind of battling, hanging out. All right. Another push up. If I'm in options, I'm probably trimming and trailing a little bit there. So I would make a note of that. Good thing I did because we had a massive sell-off the next day. And then a gap down. You're probably down on the trade again. Oh, no, we're back up. And this is just kind of what you do. You click the process along and then eventually, it gives you a little signal here to get out of the trade. So depending on how you manage the trade, if I had trimmed and trailed out here, like I was talking about, I would have had a nice win. If I had waited all the way over to here, wouldn't have worked out so well. So there's a lot of different ways to trade Momo other than just follow the signals. Although if you just follow the signals and you do it with shares, I've tested it to be a profitable strategy.
Love it, bro. You're the man. Thank you so much, RT3, for that insight information. Folks, type in a 7 if you got all excited about that. This dude is a living legend. We have one more living legend who just came in. He's ready to take over for the next 2 hours. Mr. Tony Pollock just came over from the beginner's room. Tony.
Nice.
How are you, man?